Hey, I'm here with rock star professional golfer Hannah Gregg. Hannah, say hi.
Hey everybody.
So Hannah's working on some parts in her game, so I want to show you a little look inside of a GOLFTEC lesson so that if you're at home wondering what happens at GOLFTEC, we're going to show you. You want to take a look at this swing?
Yeah, let's see it.
Or should we not?
Show me what's
All
up.
right, let's take a look. So first, I know what you're practicing, which is keeping your swing direction from getting too far into out. And one way that you do that is by practicing when the shaft's parallel to the ground. So your bad swings are into out a few degrees, too many. Sometimes you set up to 7 degrees. And if I were trying to pick a number to swing into out, I'd choose somewhere between 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And 3 sounds like a good one.
Yep.
So yeah, 7's too much. That's where you start to hit some pull draws, it sounds like, or they push but not enough to
Yeah, and
back the amount of curve.
I don't have the freedom to, when I'm hitting it that way, I feel like there's no chance of me ever hitting a fade, and I just don't like that feeling.
No, that'd be hard. You'd have to aim more than 7 degrees to
Yeah.
the left, and that's starting to get to be a lot. Okay, so what do you think of this picture here of when the shaft's parallel to the ground?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, so normally I think the way you described it is that your lead arm would be outward more. So if that were your lead arm, which would look weird if that was your lead arm, but then the shaft would be inward much more and look like that.
Yes,
Is that
it
fair?
rolls. My hands tend to go a little bit out and then this way, and
Yeah.
so the club gets inside.
Gotcha. Okay, and then you start to swing out and out 2 many degrees. Well, I can tell in here that you're definitely changing a lot of different parts by doing that in the backswing that ultimately make you swing a little straighter into the ball. So I'm going to pull up a tour player, someone who makes a living playing golf, and not just a living, but millions of dollars, just to look for some similarities in there. I think you're trying to be more like that swing of Colin Morikawa with the shaft. That's a
Definitely.
good model right there. Then what I wanted to show you here is by the time you get to where your lead arm's parallel to the ground, you should have a good representation of the arm and the shaft that looks similar to Colin there.
Yep.
And his is maybe a touch more vertical. Your club face is a hair more closed, but a lot more similar than different in that one. That's good. So if you're at home watching, this would be a nice position in the swing to copy for of what Hannah's doing here. The one difference I start seeing in here though too, which is maybe something just to keep in mind, would be at the top of the swing. You notice how his trail arm is a little bit closer to his rib cage than yours is. I think for you, raising your arm up like that is also helping you on the downswing to swing straighter into the ball. So I can relate and understand why you do that. There is a point where you start to raise your arm up too high.
Yes.
And if your swing direction gets too far to the left or you have a hard time hitting 3 and out, this would be a good place to start, a little lower at the top of the swing.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then what you do on the way down, when your lead arm's parallel to the ground, you can see like the entry of the shaft and how that bisects the top of your shoulder. And when you watch someone like Colin here, it's rare that I find a PGA Tour player that gets the shaft that high relative or what you're doing compared to Colin's. Colin's is usually borderline almost the highest on the tour.
Wow.
So that's what I'd give you as like the cautionary tale
Yeah.
next. If you can't manage your swing direction from staying into out a few degrees, that's where you'd start watching that one next. And then a variable that we are measuring here is the lie angle. So that's 4 degrees down, and it's been pretty consistent off the 10 or so shots I watched you hit. What you do from here, a lot of people who watch this video and wonder why they slice, they have the shaft where you do there.
Yep.
And then they continue to just push their arm out more.
Yes.
And peel that thing out to the right a lot. You do a nice job of not continuing to slice it. One way you do that is you just start to raise the shaft more than the lie angle that is built into the clubs. So while it'll be hard to see on video, that's the value of having a launch monitor. You have that shaft just a little bit higher than the lie angle is really built for, and you've got the lie angle then 4 degrees upward. And they've all kind of look like that. It does help you push though, so for you that might be really nice too, because I know you don't want to hook too much.
True.
Right? Yeah. So that's really the kind of analysis you should expect in a golf lesson anyway. I think what you're practicing sounds great. Your path has been, on this particular shot, was 2.2 into out. It's always been from 2 to 3. The one that was looking interesting to me is your angle of attack. That was about 3 down on most of these hits, and the tour average, or probably the way Colin's hitting, is 5 or 6 down.
Okay.
So that starts to get a little bit low.
Yeah.
So when if I had to ask you the question of which shots are hardest to hit, I would guess it's long clubs, 5 iron, 4 iron.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So you probably don't use those, or if you do, they're not your favorite.
You know, I used to have those. Last time I saw you, I did have a 5 iron, but it's been knocked out of the bag. It's out.
Yeah. So you have an awesome swing. You do a few things that align really nicely for what you're trying to do. It's just always worth having a little extra ammo in what you're looking at and measuring those tour averages and degrees of freedom that we do here, and measuring how the club hits the ball. All that wraps it up into getting better at golf and making it easier. So I want to see you show everybody how you practice, like the backswing piece you were describing that you were doing not as well as you wanted to, and then however you're practicing that, because it looks like you're executing it very well.
Yeah, so I've made a lot of improvements with this over the last few months. This is something that's really difficult for you to see yourself when you're doing it. So I had Q school this summer, and I was hitting the ball really badly before my first round, and I played really well at Q school, so obviously something changed. So I called my coach the night before, and I was like, something's wrong, I'm not good at golf anymore.
Yeah,
he's
I'm
like,
a total disaster,
sit
which
down.
is a lie, by the way.
It's fine, you're gonna be fine. I'm guessing you're doing that move you tend to do, where the hands tend to go out and the club head gets inside, makes it really difficult for you to keep things on plane. The snap hooks start showing up, and I was like, you're correct. Yeah. So we went out, we found a feel that we liked, which for me was doing a kind of a waggle, a rehearsal before I hit, which is feeling the wrong way and then feeling the right way twice. So I like to really exaggerate it, where I feel like my hands stay very close to my body and the club head gets really far out. In that video you showed of Colin, his club is even more farther out than mine is. So that's the end goal, is for me to feel like I'm keeping these hands really tight in, keep the club head out, and then I can just kind of do the rest of my swing freely.
The rest works pretty well, yeah. And you mentioned a bunch of good stuff in there, so can you set up to the ball again? Most people who watch don't fight that same problem you do of starting the ball too straight, hooking too much. But you mentioned the first piece, which was the angle your hands move on the backswing, that they go in. That's a big part for most people to pay attention to. So when you're trying to stop slicing, the first start is moving your hand path behind you to have a stroke that's going to be deep enough to let you swing it out. But if you overdid that part, or if you pushed your hands out like you described and lower the shaft in, did you have the face too closed or too open?
It was closed, yeah.
Too closed, so that's not atypical, and you can still hit a lot of nasty slices this way, because you're starting to put your hands in a spot where at the top of the swing they're too close to me and not far enough behind you.
Yes.
So for people watching at home, if you're trying to stop slicing, move your hands in. That's good step one. Then because you're trying not to overdraw, which is what 95% of the tour players are doing too, for them it starts to become more important to have the shaft and the club head closer to me than too far in. But same thing for amateurs. If you're trying to alleviate slicing, push your hands in, push the shaft in a little too far, close the face. That's actually a good start to stop slicing. That didn't help you at all. You
Opposite.
Out more than that would be a better way to go.
Exactly.
Sure. So that's good. And then we just watch that on camera and compare you to your favorite tour player or someone who's doing it well. Is really what the point of that kind of comparison is.
And it's nice because it's a playable feel, instead of going out and being like, okay, did I hit this position? Did I hit this position? It was something I could just do.
The easy feel. That's how golf should be too, golf instruction anyway. If it's really complicated to hear, it's complicated to go through the analysis, but then the instruction should just be keep your hands in, push the shaft out as far as you can, hit this ball, and I have a feeling what's going to happen. Let's check it out.
Go find it, hit it again.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Your angle of attack's a little less down than Colin's. Your path has been 2 or 3 degrees in out. Your face to path, which is that next measurement down, that's a little bit open to the target, and these are tiny little draws in there. These are really nice shots, and it looks super repeatable. So I'd vote you keep doing what you're doing. And then if you have a trouble with the swing direction of not being more than 2 degrees in out, it's probably time to watch the downswing entry and make sure the shaft's not too high, so that then you don't have to raise the shaft up as much.
Makes sense.
Makes sense? Good. Well, that's what a golf lesson should kind of feel like. And then we do some more hitting and measure some more swings and check you out on OptiMotion, watch the ball fly with some launch monitor data. It's a golf lesson. Am I missing anything?
It was good for me.
It doesn't have to be super complicated. Sometimes it's just checking up to make sure you're doing well with what you're working on.
Yes, working on the right things and making sure you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. If every golf lesson felt like it was brand new content every day and doing something radically different, you're not on a very organized path. So I'm happy to hear how you're playing. You're doing awesome. Good luck in stage 2.
Thank you so much.
Q School. Yeah. Thanks for watching.